What we have here is a pair of leather boots from the Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology's collection. These boots are special for a number of reasons. They've ended up being one of the stars of the display. It's really interesting to see how people have been drawn to them as they walked into the gallery. And I think part of that is because they feel really modern. These boots were donated in 1920 by Mary Louise Tremaine. She was the widow of the collector, Major Arthur John Newman Tremaine. He was an Australian soldier and anthropologist, and he worked in West Africa in the sort of early 20th century. And he actually also taught Hausa, a main language in Nigeria and across West Africa, here at the University of Cambridge. There were parts of northern Nigeria where there were real centers of leather production and leather trade, where there were major leather markets. So perhaps the collector of these boots purchased them in a market in one of these areas. He may have had them specially made. He also may have acquired them against the will of the original owner. Based on the materials used for these boots, the level of design, and research from this part of northern Nigeria, as well as similar artifacts in other museums, we believe that these would have been made for a man of high status in society, perhaps for ceremonial purposes. These don't look like everyday boots that somebody would have worn. So if you look closely, you can see that the individual who made them will likely have used a sharp object to sort of score away and reveal a lighter color leather underneath and a sort of more coarse leather. This looks a little bit like suede, which is the underside of an animal skin. So if you look at the soles of this boot, there is evidence they have been worn. The animal hair on the bottom, which is likely from a cowhide, appears to have been worn away either as the wearer was walking, running, or perhaps riding a horse. My favorite element of these boots is actually when they're standing next to each other, one boot is shorter than the other one. And that's because one of the heels has been pressed down over time. If you imagine when you're a child and you kind of stepped on the heel of one of your shoes, this could be what's happened in the case of these boots. Often when objects like these end up in our museum storage facilities, they can become removed from the people behind them. So being able to look at something like this and imagine how the wearer over time pushed their heel down into the boot, it's a really important reminder that these were objects made by people for people. Objects like this are really important because they can tell us a lot of stories about the people who made them, the people who used them, the people who sold them, about the people who collected them. But when an object like this joins our museum storage, it can often end up far removed from all of those stories. So we learn a huge amount by taking them out of their boxes, by looking at them, touching them, putting them up on display. But it's important to keep expanding the way that we talk about artifacts like this in order to center the people behind these objects.